Okay, there's 200 people here, and I promised the guy we would start at 200. Here we go. This is question. Well, you'll hear Megan ask it. Okay. Notice how what Megan didn't ask. What's the common Christian, from your point of view, the Christian answer to that question? She asked a personal question. What do you believe happened to Jesus's physical body? By the way, this is a great question because most Christians in their minds, they have that heaven is immaterial, like not the new heavens and new earth. Right now, where God resides, if that makes sense, is not material, right? But Jesus was material, at least in some form. I would love to do a mass spectrometer on Jesus's body and just see what his composition was. Like the resurrected body, was it the same as ours? Who knows? But if if Jesus is physical in some way, and when he ascended into heaven, was there a poof moment where it transformed from the regular physical body to the resurrected physical body to a purely spiritual body? Or did he maintain his physicalness, which he now has still in heaven? Because the verse that says that Jesus will sit at the right side of God, that could be literal now. Like Jesus had buttocks. He had a bum here on planet Earth. We say bum in Canada and mum. Well, I guess you say bum here in the US too. It's mom versus mum. But he had a bum, and that bum didn't go away. So when Jesus went to heaven, he still has a bum. And so the whole verses about Jesus sitting down on stuff makes sense. It's really hard to sit down on a chair when you don't have a bum. Okay, what? This is why I laughed when I saw this. Watch Ehrman's hands during this. But did they know it was a sphere? Some of them might. This is important. And this is, Camille, you're still here. Was it your idea or Cam's idea? The ascension is only mentioned in Acts, right? Is that true? So it's not that well attested. But it's extremely important to the resurrection. Because if Jesus didn't ascend, and let's say he just died of natural causes at an old age, then we would have records of what Jesus did when he was in his late 30s, early 40s, early 50s, early 60s. We'd say, oh, when Jesus was gray-haired and had a walking cane, he decided not to heal himself, but to heal other old people in the old folks' home. We don't have any records of him, of that sort of thing happening, right? Now, what best explains that? That Jesus actually rose into the heavens, and that's why we don't have those records, or that Jesus never resurrected in the first place? Okay, yeah, it was Cam's idea. And this is brilliant because as a normal human being where you're just thinking, what's more probable, that Jesus rose in some type of physical body into the heavens and then vanished into heaven, and that's why we don't have the records of what Jesus did when he was 60 years old? Or is it more likely that he never rose in the first place, and that's why we don't have records of what he did when he was 60 years old? When you put it that way, it's like, oops. It's interesting how the ascension can actually cast huge doubt on the resurrection. Bart Ehrman, you should say that next time. And then credit Cam Spires from New Zealand. Okay, that's one clip I wanted to play. I'll play the longest clip now. This is going to be about 9-10 minutes. This is a beautiful outsider test for faith. You know how I always do the flying man. Well, this is like a real historical type flying man, except not flying. But you'll see why I use the flying man and understand why I don't do what Ehrman does here, because of the responses that Mike gives. Yeah, but this is a long time ago, like way before Christ. And so, but it is an interesting question, because she's saying that we have multiple genres, eyewitness accounts of a guy being deified, whatever that means. Let's see how Mike handles it. That's probably the best question Megan asked during the whole 3 hours that I watched. What she's asking is, look, let's say you were familiar with this. I know you said you're not, but if you were familiar with this, would you be more likely to come up with another explanation rather than he actually became a god? Of course you would, Mike. Wouldn't you be more likely to say this is propaganda and people are actually writing this on purpose to make people believe that this actually happened in history when really it didn't? Of course you would say that, Mike. But you notice how difficult it is for you to say that about Jesus. Or you would admit that it's propaganda. I think Licona is on record as saying that the Gospels are a type of propaganda, but it's true propaganda. Yeah, but the problem here, Mike, is Imagine you're that person that Megan's talking about, who believes that this mighty conqueror, this warrior, was deified. And you're thinking, was he really deified? Hey, I'm having doubts that our leader here was deified. I wrestled for years. Was our leader deified? But you know, the more I investigated, the more I realized he was. He was deified. You see, Mike, how that works? Did you know that, Christians? Some Christians are listening here. They didn't know that. Here you got two historians, one Christian agreeing that we have in history someone being deified, leaving in some manner, coming back and appearing to people. Sound familiar? Long before Christianity? But it's different, right? And you're going to hear Mike say that here too. See, this is where I was a little disappointed in the debate. I was expecting, since was marketed as a 7-hour debate, that Bart Ehrman, he makes this claim. There was other people who had contrary views about Jesus. Okay, I'm expecting Bart Ehrman to turn around right now, pull a book off the shelf and read it, hold it up to the screen and show people. But in the last 3 hours that I watched, none of that happened. It was all meta stuff. It was top level stuff like what we're discussing now. It was basically what I do. Like me and an average Joe Blow YouTuber who's a Christian could have had the same conversation. We don't need experts here if you're not going to actually show the evidence and dive right into it. Like they're just talking about the evidence, right? Am I being too harsh? See, this is why I do the flying man. What Mike is saying right here. So Bart Ehrman's given a real life historical analogy or similarity, and look what they do. They meaning some Christians. Who said they saw Jesus besides Paul? That's not the same thing as those witnesses saying they saw Jesus, the resurrected Jesus. That's Paul saying that other people said that they saw the resurrected Jesus. That's called hearsay. Thank you for the donation, Oflamio. Why pay for experts when you get the same thing from amateurs at a discounted rate? Are you calling me an amateur? Are you saying that my rates are discounted? I got to raise my rates. See? This, Bart, if you ever hear this or watch this, this is why you have to do the flying man. Because you could do this all day long. What about this? What about that? Well, this is different genre. You only have one eyewitness. Blah 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 blah. Too long ago. Yeah, I mean, you can't win if it's not exactly perfectly the same as the evidence for Jesus. They're going to dismiss it. They meaning Christians like Mike Licona. And if you do provide things exactly identical in evidence to Jesus and the resurrection, then they'll say, oh, I would believe it. Okay. That deserves a pause. Let's just all pause and have some awkward silence. Bart's saying that some of the evidence for these stories are better than Christianity because they're contemporary, not 20, 30 years later. Let's see how Mike handles this. Blake asks, do you think the debate was worth the $50 price tag? No. Although it is worth doing this for you guys now and having fun and talking about it. So maybe it is. Hey, proof of evolution. I wonder if Ken Hovind likes Josephus. Hey, we got what do you say, a lamb born to a cow? That's a clippable moment. We have quite a few examples in history of claims of a deity and a mortal having offspring. Now, Christianity is a little different because Mary was a virgin, but still, the point of the combination of deity and human forming an offspring is not unique. Not unique. Christianity is not unique in that aspect, and Mike Licona just admitted that. See, no, this is a cop-out, Mike. This is a cop-out. He just said that, I don't believe the eyewitness account of Josephus about a lamb being born to a cow because this is a certain genre of figurative literary technique, blah, 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 just like it is in Matthew 27. And then Bart talks about other deities and humans having coitus of some sort, in some way, forming offspring. Do you believe that? No. Well, then why do you believe it in Matthew and Luke? And then Mike says this. It's a reasonable possibility that the birth narratives found in Matthew and Luke are just borrowed from other ancient sources to create a narrative. Is that what you're saying, Mike? After you're saying, oh, well, I haven't looked into it. Megan, you were too nice here, Megan. Like Bart Ehrman, boom, just he did a right hand jab and then a left hand uppercut. Mike was thrown back on the ropes, and you, as the nice referee, came in and said, broke it up. I guess, I don't like the sight of blood either. So maybe you did the right thing, Megan. Okay, that was in my opinion, one of the most interesting things that happened. Let me see here. Talked about the ascension, the outsider test for faith part that we just watched. Oh, Ehrman got really upset and threw his hands up in the air in this clip. This is about bias. And in the last 3 hours, they spent probably an hour talking about biases, which is nothing new. They talked about this many times before. But yeah, there's one statement that Licona makes which devastates the eyewitness account idea, or it puts doubt into it, and also makes Ehrman furious. What exactly does that mean? There are more Christians leaving Christianity than coming in. Why is that? Because they're not grounded in their faith. What does that actually mean? What does it mean to be grounded in one's faith? Does that mean being stubborn in one's faith? Does that mean even with opposing evidence flying at you, you say, nope, not listening, not looking? Does that mean just having such a vast knowledge of what you believe that means you won't leave it? It seems like the contrary is true. The more you learn, well, at least in seminary, there's more people who go into seminary and change their mind and leave Christianity than the opposite. Am I wrong about that? I'm not wrong. How many atheists go into Christian seminaries and become Christians because they went to seminary? Maybe there's one or two, I don't know. But think about the many that leave Christianity after going to seminary. You see this? Somehow Christians think that eyewitnesses are more reliable 2,000 years ago when they believed in so many superstitious stuff and were basically pagans beforehand and believed all types of crazy stuff. And here in the year 2022, Michael Licona says, hey, one of my students told me that you said this. You said that there was like a dozen Christians in your class of 400 and that you said your objective was to increase doubt. And Bart's claiming both of those things are false, as you'll hear. Now, I think I caught Bart in a contradiction here. Well, no, maybe not. It's just a question for Bart. Why have you not tried to deconvert certain people? Don't you believe that there are certain versions of Christianity that are extremely dangerous? If so, why not try to deconvert them? This is going to become important when I play the closing statement from Bart coming up next.